Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Living in Switzerland. The series is brought to you by Rigby. We are a staffing and project services company based in Zurich. If you or anyone you know of is looking for a new role in Switzerland, or if you're looking to hire, let us know. We'd be happy to help. The best way to do that is by going to rigby.ch/apply and filling out the form. Then, if we have anything that might be of interest, we'll gladly let you know.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Expert Guide to Your Life in Switzerland. My name is Daniel and I work for Rigby. We're a staffing and IT services company based in Zurich.
And I'm Diccon. I live in Bern and write books about Switzerland.
We are two Brits who both moved to Switzerland around the same time in 2005. In this series, we'll be talking about what we've learned since then and about some of our experiences of living here. In today's episode, we're going to look at Swiss traditions and festivals in winter, starting with Advent.
Now, I have to confess that one of the things that really surprised me when I moved here is how big Advent is. It barely registers back in Britain, apart from those Advent calendars with a chocolate behind every door, which of course I love.
Yeah, our kids always want to open all 24 doors at once and eat all the chocolate.
That's what my boyfriend does too. I try and resist the temptation, but the calendars themselves are a really big deal here. I love those giant glittery ones, which are huge, that tower over most children, and are works of art in themselves. I'm still not quite sure about the very traditional ones, the ones carved from wood with 24 little boxes or drawers to open. No pretty pictures, but you get a present every day.
All right, now that sounds like our kind of calendar. I have to say, it's funny how the rings are still a big thing here. The kids love that with the 4 candles and everything.
Which brings us nicely to the answer to last month's quiz question: how many Sundays are there in Advent?
And the answer is 4, hence the 4 candles. Snazzier crowns have 4 different sized ones so that you can light the largest first as it has to burn the longest. And by the time you get to the 4th Sunday in Advent, all 4 candles are the same size.
Don't we love that Swiss attention to detail? The other aspect of Advent I really enjoy are the little Christmas cookies.
Oh yeah, we love those too, especially the cinnamon star.
No, definitely not. Cinnamon is not my cup of tea at all. Give me the Brunsli any day. They're the chocolate almond ones that are a little bit squidgy, and they're actually really easy to make. Or the Spitzbuben, which is kind of like a jammy dodger, only posher, and is quite hard to make.
And do you make your own?
In another life, yes, I probably do. But I have friends who take time off work purely to bake these cookies over days and days. I just buy mine. It's far easier. But I do make my own mincemeat because I have to have mince pies, and they're not something you can find in Co-op or Migros.
Yeah, that and Christmas crackers. I didn't realise that they were such a British thing.
Nor did I until I worked at Stauffacher English Bookshop in Bern, and we wanted to start selling Christmas crackers because customers would ask for them. The crazy thing was that they're classed as fireworks because of the bang. So we needed a special license to import them and sell them, which we managed eventually, and Stauffacher still sells Christmas crackers every year.
And I'm sure they also sell your books too.
I should hope so. I think they do still, including the newest one, which is a Kids Atlas of Switzerland and is out now.
Yeah, that one's already on my Christmas list. The other thing that surprised me here is that the Christmas cards aren't really a big deal either. I still find that strange.
Me too. I was so used to writing cards to people, even if some of them, that was the only communication we had all year, a very British thing. You have friends who you haven't seen for ages and you send them a card once a year and you act like you have seen each other every week. But it really is a tradition in Britain that doesn't happen here.
Right. Whereas one Swiss tradition that Brits haven't ever heard of is Sammy Klaus.
The Swiss Santa, you mean?
Yes. So he goes around the country on the 6th of December handing out little bags of sweets and nuts to children. Except, of course, he's usually with a donkey rather than a reindeer, and he has his evil sidekick with him, the Schmutzli.
He's the scary one dressed in dark robes with the Rasputin-like hair, isn't he? Not forgetting that Schmutzli normally has a stick to beat the children who've been bad. Actually, I could see you as Schmutzli.
It's a classic good cop, bad cop. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we should move on to a nicer part of Advent, which is the Christmas market.
And really, for me, that's the best way to prepare for the big day. You can mooch around the stalls with snow falling, twinkly lights, cup of steaming mulled wine in one hand. It's like being inside a Christmas card. And you have to remember, though, that Swiss markets are not on the scale of the huge German ones, but I think actually being smaller makes them cuter.
Yeah, and one of the best things is that they are actually open on Sundays, unlike most shops.
Yes, that is a big culture shock for a lot of people who live here, that nothing's open on Sundays, apart from in some cities, shops are allowed to open on some Sundays in Advent. It's really quite exciting after months and months with no Sunday shopping.
It doesn't take much to please you, does it, Dickon?
Not really, no.
I'm sure you've been to quite a few Christmas markets. Which is your favourite?
I'm a little bit biased, of course, because I live in Bern, but I do love the one in front of Bern's Munster. It's the tallest cathedral in Switzerland, and it's beautiful to have the little stalls in front. And those stalls are all with handmade handicrafts. The other really great one is in Montreux, along the shore of Lake Geneva. And that one even has the Father Christmas riding his sleigh across the sky. I mean, literally, Father Christmas riding the sleigh across the sky. How about you? Which one's your favourite?
Well, they say that the one inside of Main Station in Zurich is the biggest indoor Christmas market in Europe, and it's all undercover and it has this huge tree.
I'm always so impressed with that tree. It's just huge and so many crystals, although, of course, at home I stick to candles and balls.
Real candles, isn't that a fire hazard?
Of course it is, I know. And I think of health and safety every time I light them. But after a lifetime of little fairy lights in Britain, it really is magical to have real candles on a real tree. And I didn't even know that was allowed in other countries until I moved here. And it's so lovely on Christmas Day itself to light the candles and sit beside the candlelit tree.
Which brings us to the Swiss fact of the month.
There are only 2 religious holidays recognized in every canton. Christmas Day is one of them, and the other is Ascension Day. Others, such as Good Friday, aren't a public holiday in all 26 cantons.
That takes us nicely on to looking past Christmas to other winter festivals. One that I haven't been to yet is the Escalade in Geneva, but I know it's to do with the Savoyards trying a sneak attack on Geneva. On the night of the 11th to the 12th of December 1602, they climbed the city walls, but the alarm was raised and the attack was defeated.
And the best part of the whole story is that one Geneva woman fought off the invaders by throwing her pot of soup at them. Although what she was doing cooking soup at 3 a.m, I have no idea. And that's why the event is celebrated not only with parades and costumes, but with chocolate cauldrons, which are sold and eaten.
Yeah, that makes about as much sense as the British burning an effigy to commemorate an attack on Parliament.
Yeah, but then again, traditions don't always have to make sense. But I think it's really great that they're kept alive here.
Yeah, it's true. It's a bit like celebrating New Year twice. That sounds like a great tradition to keep going. What's that all about?
It's over in Appenzell-Ausserrhoden in the eastern part of Switzerland, and they celebrate New Year first with the old Gregorian calendar on 31st of December, and then with the new Julian calendar on the 13th of January. On both dates, you get people going house to house in amazing costumes known as Silvesterpläuse. Some costumes are called beautiful, and they really are very highly decorated, while the others are ugly, which are much more rustic.
And have you seen that?
Not yet. Maybe I should go in January and experience it once. One that I have been to is the Vogelgriff in Basel, which also has some great costumes. The 3 main ones are the Wild Man, the Lion, and the Vogelgriff itself. It's a griffin, which is half lion, half eagle. Basically, it's all about the rivalry between the 2 parts of Basel, Klein Basel and Gross Basel, which are separated by the River Rhine itself. It is quite fun to see.
Okay, that's another one for our list then. Switzerland really does have some interesting winter festivals, maybe because the winter is so long and cold and you have to have things like this to get you through it.
Yes, most probably, which is why I indulge in one particular January tradition every year.
Let me guess, the Three Kings cake?
Of course, you know me so well. The sad part is even after 16 years here, I have never once been king for the day.
Oh, I have. I nearly broke a tooth in the process.
Perhaps we should explain what actually goes on?
Yep, good idea. So the 6th of January is Epiphany, or the Feast of the Three Kings, and you celebrate with a cake like a brioche that's divided into segments, and baked inside one segment is a plastic figure of a king, and whoever gets that can wear the crown and be king for the day. It's an old Swiss tradition.
Or even queen for the day.
Or queen for the day, yeah.
And the cake isn't bad either. Obviously, I prefer the version with chocolate chips rather than raisins.
Obviously.
And perhaps in January, I'll get to be queen for the day.
Yeah, enough said. Well, let's move on to the best winter tradition of all, which is eating fondue.
Yeah, you fondue, I fondant.
Yeah, not a fan?
Not really. First, there's the smell, which is slightly overpowering.
That's true, yeah, that takes some getting used to, but it has to stink a little or it's not real fondue.
And then there's the whole lead in your stomach feeling after about an hour of finishing. Plus the fact that it reminds me of my parents' supper parties back in the 70s, which was the last time fondue was popular in Britain.
Yeah, true, I remember that. Here it's more winter comfort food that's never gone out of fashion.
Winter being the operative word. I'm always amazed at tourists who insist on having fondue when it's 30 centigrade in the shade. Why would you?
No, I mean, I'd certainly only eat it in winter. In fact, there are quite a few rules about fondue etiquette. You wrote about that once, didn't you?
I did. And really, the only thing you have to remember is that long-handled fork that you use to spear the bread should never touch your tongue, teeth, or lips as you eat, purely because it has to go back into the pot every time, and that counts for every fork around the table. And of course, the most important thing to remember is do not drop your chunk of bread in the pot or you'll have to pay a forfeit.
What's that?
Well, with our friends, it's having to kiss your neighbour. Though that depends on how much wine you've both had and who your neighbour is. Personally, I actually prefer raclette, which is just as sociable for a dinner with friends, but less stinky and less leaden. For the uninitiated, you have slices of raclette cheese that you melt under a mini grill in the centre of the table, and then you pour the molten cheese over small boiled potatoes and eat it together. Although, of course, I do scandalise my Swiss friends by adding fruit and vegetables alongside the traditional pickled gherkin and onion that you eat with the potatoes. So my raclette always includes the likes of pineapple pieces or cherry tomatoes. It's probably a Swiss version of putting pineapple on pizza, so I'm sorry, Switzerland.
I'm surprised anyone invites you round at all.
Yeah, so am I sometimes, actually. Even worse than that, I once ordered raclette in a restaurant and, shock horror, asked for a salad on the side. The waiter nearly had a fit. Not the done thing at all, but I wasn't Swiss back then, so I didn't know any better.
Yeah, you violated the protocol, so nowadays you'd never make such a mistake.
Of course I do. God, yes. I still have salad with my raclette. I figured that now I'm Swiss, I can make up my own rules.
That doesn't sound very Swiss to me. Next, you're going to tell me that you don't ski.
Sorry, no, I don't. Although last winter, I did learn to cross-country ski, which isn't quite the same thing, I know, but it is on skis. And it actually wasn't too bad, slightly less daunting because you're not throwing yourself off a mountain. Are you a winter sports fan?
Yes, very much so. We love to go skiing and we're quite spoiled here in Zurich. There are so many places to go. But I also play football, and in Switzerland there's lots of evening games that you can join in with. So we play in a Turnhalle, which is open all year round. Even when there's snow on the ground outside, you can still play. It's great.
God, you put me to shame. I must try harder to be a proper winter Swiss person.
Any more winter tips, Diccon?
Don't eat yellow snow.
And speaking of eating anything other than yellow snow, next time we'll be talking about Swiss food.
And not only fondue, thank goodness.
And here's the quiz question of the month as a teaser. How many litres of milk does it take to make 1 kilogram of Emmentaler cheese?
As always, we'll give you the answer next time. Until then, it's goodbye from us both.
And thanks to you for listening. We'll include links in the show notes to our guest and to further materials about some of the topics that we've spoken about today. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Once again, this podcast was brought to you by Rigby. We're a staffing and project services company here in Zurich. If you would like our help either to hire or to be hired, let us know. Best way to do that is by going to rigby.ch/apply and filling out the form. You can also sign up for our newsletter at rigby.ch/newsletter to receive our Living in Switzerland guide. We'll send you 1 email per month about expat-focused news and jobs in Switzerland. So thanks, and until the next time.